Another €100 voucher to give away today, and be a great deposit to put towards a mattress or a bed. We asked the question, Greg, you and see, even though this is going back quite a bit, Greg, me and you would know the answer to this. According to the famous Irish tenor John McCormick, who recorded this song back in 1914, it's a long way to Tipperary was the answer. Yeah, and the winner is this morning.
Who sent your questions?
Well, I can't say. Why do you think they're? But
I think they're good. I like it.
All right.
You know what I mean? It gets the brain working in the
I
morning.
didn't know yesterday's, to be quite honest. Do you know? Do you know? And I knew this one because it's a long. Well, anyway, enough of that.
I'm just really glad you slipped the answer in before you asked me.
All right, okay, all right. Are you just showing so young you are, Gregory Hughes?
It's not that. It's the lack of knowledge. I can't blame my youth.
Oh, you're
very
knowledgeable.
My age.
You're very knowledgeable. All right, Maggie Ward in Mully and Glenties has won that voucher. So enjoy, Greg. Have a good show.
Thank you very much, Lee.
All right, okay.
All right, take care of yourself. Back tomorrow morning, of course. Or
go
ahead.
Away for a couple of days.
Yeah, enjoy that.
Thanks.
Enjoy, and we'll see you on Tuesday, Monday.
Monday.
Okay, good stuff. Looking forward to it.
Let's hope so.
Fingers crossed. All right, it is Lee Gooch back with you sometime. Now he's going to be back after he's 2 days off. We are going to be back with the start of the show in earnest after we say good morning to Donald Kavanagh. Hi, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Minister Charlie McConalogue says work is ongoing to secure the angiogram service at Letterkenny University Hospital. In a statement, Minister McConalogue says the Department of Health, CELTA and the HSE are working to assess appropriate means for angiogram services to continue at LUH. It's been announced recently the mobile cardiology unit that's currently at the hospital will go at the end of next month. Well, the statement came after Donegal Action for Cancer Care wrote to the Minister and Donegal's other 4 TDs urging them to act to save the service. Chair Betty Holmes says the continued loss of services effectively represents a downgrade of the hospital.
I said, I think it's over 13, 14 years ago, that Letterkenny Hospital would in effect become the new St. Joseph's because the services are drip by drip being stripped from the hospital. And if the angiogram service goes, then Letterkenny Hospital is in effect the new community hospital. At regional and national level, over the years, DACC have seen no real true commitment to Donegal and the needs of the sick of Donegal.
The HSE says industrial action will have a very disabling impact on Letterkenny and other hospitals across the country. Today, over 2,100 medical scientists are stopping routine lab services for 12 hours. That ends at 8 o'clock tonight. The dispute has led to inpatient and day case procedures being cancelled. Britain's Foreign Secretary says sensible, pragmatic changes are needed to the Northern Ireland Protocol. Liz Truss confirmed the British government would legislate to change the protocol unilaterally in order to encourage the DUP to enter power sharing. She says the UK's proposed changes would also work to the EU's advantage.
We've proposed a solution, creating a green lane into Northern Ireland. That helps protect the EU single market, which is what they're concerned of, and also helps protect trade into Northern Ireland. So we can get a pragmatic solution. I want the EU to come to the negotiating table so we can agree that together. But if that doesn't happen, we do need to move ahead delivering this solution for the people of Northern Ireland.
NATO says Finland and Sweden have officially applied for membership of the military alliance. All 30 current members must agree to them joining. Turkey says it's not totally convinced. And postmasters will tell an Oireachtas committee later today the post office network is at a critical juncture and in desperate need of government support. The Irish Postmasters Union will tell TDs and senators that €12 million in annual funding is needed to prevent large-scale closures. 873 of the 918 branches across the country are run by self-employed postmasters. The Transport and Communications Committee Chair is Kieran O'Donnell.
We must ensure that network can survive. It must be a sustainable network. And obviously, for that to ensure that can happen, it must be financially viable for postmasters up and down the length and breadth of the country to be able to operate in a sustainable manner. And that obviously will require supports for additional services they can provide. We want to go into detail on that with Ned O'Hara and his colleagues in the Irish Postmasters Union.
Dry and sunny this morning, but rain will kick in the afternoon with the possibility of some thunderstorms in the west of the region. Southerly winds will increase fresh to strong, then gusty. Highest temperatures 15 to 17 degrees Celsius. The rain will clear early tonight with winds easing. Lowest overnight temperatures 5 to 7. And that's Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10 o'clock.
COVID-19 can still cause serious illness, especially in people at higher risk. We need to keep protecting each other. So stay home if you have symptoms. Wear a mask in healthcare settings, public transport, and busy places. Let fresh air in if you're meeting indoors. Keep hands clean. And get a COVID-19 vaccine and booster. Let's keep looking out for each other. From the HSE, for us all.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning to you. 5 minutes past 9, Wednesday the 18th of May. A very good morning. How are you keeping? I hope you're keeping very well indeed. I have a bit of a spring in my step today. I feel like getting out of my chair and dancing. We were at the Abbey Vocational School presentation of Guys and Dolls last night. The transition year students, some first years and others involved. And what a show it was. It's brilliant. It reminded me of, firstly, we haven't been at these things for quite some time, but it reminded me of how brilliant our young people are. And also how fantastic the teachers and those that get those events together. Brilliant music, great dancing, some brilliant acting as well, and singing, and some stars of the future there, no doubt. It's on again tonight, I think, and Friday. I think Friday might be sold out, but if you're in that area and you want to go along and see young people doing amazing things, well, you can go and see Guys and Dolls in the John Bosco Centre. It was a great night and something different, and great to be back at that stuff again. Fair play to everyone involved. Have you done anything nice recently like that? You want to highlight or spotlight anything like that? Get in touch with the show, 086 60 25,000. And if you want to watch us as well, go to our website, highlandradio.com. You'll see the link there. On to the newspapers this morning. Let's start with the Finn Valley Voice today. And thousands of euros of print documents, years in court to defend lawsuits, endless lobbying of small town bureaucrats. Time and consuming red tape will thwart Europe's push to become energy self-reliant, says Henrik Andersen, CEO of the world's largest wind turbine maker. Donegal is one of the country's best placed counties to deliver big on the clean energy so desperately needs, but he believes that the red tape will strangle our clean energy efforts. The English Times this morning, what is there to hide is the question. This is the reaction of Mica-affected homeowner Roisin Gallagher, reflecting on Taoiseach Micheál Martin's comment he would have to consider very seriously whether or not there was a need for pre-legislative scrutiny of the enhanced effective concrete blocks grant scheme. As a result of the Fianna Fáil leader's comments, homeowners affected by Mica are now urging the government to ensure pre-legislative scrutiny on future Mica bills. But it seems they're not too keen. And even speaking to the local rep, Minister Charlie McConnell-Logue, what did he say? He says there's been plenty of scrutiny of this. Let's get it done. But I mean, the people who are affected by it want one last run through, so to speak. Why resist? The Donegal Post this morning, 4,000 get blessing. An estimated 4,000 people flocked to the Franciscan Friary in Rossonala last week for a blessing with the relic of St. Peregrine. What a huge turnout, 4,000 people. St. Peregrine is the patron saint for persons suffering from cancer, AIDS and other life-threatening illnesses. Remarkably, after Father Vincent Finnegan OFM posted that he got a loan of the precious relic on Friday, it went viral on Facebook. By that night, it'd been viewed by over 40,000 people and shared by another 1,000 people for what is deemed to be a first-class relic. This means that it contains a body part of the saint, such as bone, blood or flesh. What Father Vincent thought might be 100 or so turning up on the Saturday turned out to be in excess of 700 people, and the numbers grew and grew. What does that tell us? I think it reminds us that there's an awful lot of people out there still with a very, very strong faith. That's a big number turning out down in that beautiful part of the world, by the way, if you haven't been down there. It's in and around Rossonala, of course. The Irish Independent this morning, large numbers of homeowners who are exposed to interest rate hikes are rushing to lock into a good value fixed rate. Is that the right thing to do? It's a tough decision, you know, because there's a lot of speculation, and I think we might get someone on to discuss this for all of us, me, you, whoever, because it is a gamble locking in at a higher rate if you're on a lower rate. because there is a lot of people that think that the interest rates might go up towards 2.1%, and then they might come back down again. There's no guarantee that we're racing towards 4, 5 or 6%. It is a gamble. We don't know what the ECB is going to do in that regard. There are people indeed, you remember how valuable tracker mortgage was and the big weight put into those? There are people apparently also considering coming off their tracker mortgages a little over 1% and locking into 2.5% or there or thereabouts. Is that the right thing to do? How far ahead should you lock in? The one thing in doing so, I suppose, it brings you some certainty as to your monthly payment. But, locking into a higher interest rate can cost really big amounts of money, 80, 90 grand over the course of a mortgage. So what we'll do is we'll get an expert on and see if we can get to the bottom of that. The problem is that experts as they are, cannot necessarily tell us precisely what's going to happen. But I think it's important that we go in with our eyes open if we are discussing this or deciding this, to make sure that it's the right thing to do. How much risk is there in switching? How much risk is there in not locking in? So anyway, hopefully that will be of use to you. We'll see if we can get that on for you today. If not, certainly in the not too distant future. But stay with us. Hopefully we'll touch on it today. But reading on here, in a significant market shift, many people are also ditching more expensive tracker mortgages in favour of long-term fixed rates. Trackers have been considered the best value mortgages, and until recently such a move would have been considered illogical. However, the European Central Bank is expected to start raising its key refinancing rate in the coming months, which would make trackers and variables more expensive and mean higher new fixed rates. On to the Irish Times this morning, and the government is at risk of losing a TD of the National Maternity Hospital vote. That's if they can get a vote. The 6-year-old TDs want to vote on this, but they need support from others. In other words, 10, I believe it is, to force a vote. And it really wouldn't make any difference anyway, because ministers have agreed this. So a vote in the Dáil is pointless. So I'm not sure if anyone would risk their career on it. But anyway, we shall see. The government faces the renewed risk of losing a TD today during a vote on the relocation of the National Maternity Hospital. The prospect of TDs voting against the government in the wake of the cabinet approval for the controversial move appeared to have receded, as the coalition indicated it would not oppose a Sinn Féin Dáil motion calling for public ownership of the site. However, the Rural Independent Group opposed the Sinn Féin motion and called for a vote tonight. If 10 TDs call for a vote this evening, the full House must vote on the Sinn Féin motion. It raises fresh doubts over the future of Dublin Central Green Party TD Nessa Horrigan, who yesterday evening indicated that she will vote with the opposition. But in fairness to Nessa, she does the hokey cokey a bit. She's been out of the Greens on a previous vote and back in them again. So presumably, even if she were to, if a vote were to happen, and if she were to vote against the government, it would be a suspension, and she'd be back in the fold in the not too distant future, I'm sure. Particularly with the Greens, who need a good quality TDs. Irish Daily Mail. Whenever we mention gambling on this programme, because I think it's a big problem, there's a lot of people affected by it, or the families of those affected by it, that say, listen, thanks for talking about this. People aren't talking about this enough. And the front of the Irish Daily Mail talks about it today. And wonder what you would think about this. In fact, you know what? This might be a good opportunity for one of our social media polls. A ban on gambling adverts before the watershed time of 9 p.m. and outlawing highly addictive gambling machines have been recommended as part of a drive to tackle serious gambling problems. Now, I tell you what, this could be a serious problem for. It could be a serious problem for the income of radio stations that are sponsored by horse racing and what have you. And we know some of them are really quite high profile because the betting industry and the gambling industry back a lot of these shows, not this show, of course, but back a lot of these big programs nationally, or the sports bulletins or the adverts or whatever. So that would be an issue. But concerns have been raised about the impact of intensive gambling advertisement, particularly on children. There are 3,400 teenagers between 15 and 16 that have been identified as engaging in problem gambling. So 15 and 16-year-olds, almost 3,500 of them have been identified as engaging in problem gambling. Now, we know then that the number that actually are engaged in problem gambling is much greater. How are they gambling? Are they gambling online? How are they doing so? 3,400 in this country with a relatively small population. And we've been talking about legislation to restrict the advertising of gambling for over a decade, and nothing has come to pass yet. Former Justice Minister Senator Michael McDowell, who is a member of the Oireachtas, he has said that recommending these changes, he was recommending the changes. He told the Irish Daily Mail that the government's long-awaited legislation to regulate gambling did not go far enough. So what do you think? We are subjected to it from a very early age, and we've talked about this before in the programme. Even if you're playing innocent games like Fortnite or any of the mobile games, a lot of our young people be on the mobile games, and you're opening chests and you're opening prizes, okay? And there's a gamble there. You don't know if you're going to get a really good player on FIFA or if you're going to get a stinker. And we're conditioned from that age to sort of have that risk reward. And then, as we get a bit older, 12, 13, 14, we're on YouTube and wherever else we might be, and we're seeing adverts for gambling, and we've been conditioned. And is it something that we need to take a little bit more seriously? Or are we being too woke, and there's always going to be problem gambling, and people are just having a bit of fun, and let's just get on with it? What do you think? 086 60 25,000. As I say, we'll throw up a social media poll there as well to get a sense of what you guys think. Irish Daily Mail, calls have been made for the politicians' bar in the Dáil to be shut down as Leinster House has no licence to serve alcohol. Socialist TD Paul Murphy told the Irish Mirror that the lawmakers in the chamber should not become lawbreakers when they go boozing in their unlicensed shebeen. The call to shut down the bar comes ahead of the major new licensing legislation coming to Cabinet in the coming weeks from the Justice Minister Helen McEntee. All regular pubs in the country must currently go through their district court every year to obtain a licence to serve drink. The proprietor must prove that he or she is an upstanding member of society, fit to hold a licence to sell intoxicating liquor. A spokesperson for Leinster House said it was a long-standing custom and practice that the politicians' bar does not need the document. He added the Oireachtas does not have a licence. The tradition of the provision of refreshments, including bar facilities within the precincts of Leinster House, is based on long-standing custom and practice. So it's one rule for them, one for the other. We saw how many makeshift shebeens were being shut down during the lockdown, as people created little spaces to socialise with some family and friends to keep their self sane. But anyway, the Dáil bar is to remain open without a licence, but there are some that believe it should shut. Do you have a view on that? Do you care? It's up to you. Text us if you do. Where the Irish Sun, fears of a trade war were mounting last night after UK said laws to torpedo parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol would be brought in within the coming weeks. The UK's solo run in the aftermath of Boris Johnson's sit-down with Stormont barges was outlined by Foreign Secretary Liz Truss. She said it was essential and legal to make changes to the international deal to resolve the grave situation in Northern Ireland. And some of the stuff she came out with during that speech was just farcical. It was nonsense, suggesting that it was the EU's responsibility, not the UK's, and other stuff. And, they talk about fake news and shut down this and shut down that and fact check the other. And yet politicians say stuff that's, some politicians, I beg your pardon, say stuff that is demonstrably untrue. And yet it's reported as if it were true. It is challenged, don't get me wrong, but where's the fake news? What is fake news? What isn't fake news? It's an interesting question. Finally, in the Irish Daily Star, are you a Derry Girls fan? I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hadn't watched it. Some people might be watching it a little later in the week or maybe haven't even started it, so I'm going to be very careful. But how did Derry Girls end for you? Did you enjoy it? Was it everything you'd hoped for? Is there a massive hole in your life where Derry Girls once lived? Derry Girls fans were put through an emotional roller coaster in the Star, this says, at last night's series finale. Making a cameo, kin actor Emmett Scanlon featured as a man desperate to get Fatboy Slim tickets and willing to fight James for them. The fallout created some hilarious moments, such as Michelle going on the telly. But as the final curtain call approached before a one-off special tonight, there's another one tonight, I beg your pardon, there were moments of pathos to complement the laughter. Right, okay, so there's a 1 hour special tonight then, okay? It's not over. But tell us how it went. 08660 25,000. You're tuned to the 9 till noon show here on your number one local radio station, Highland Radio. As I say, don't be afraid to get involved. Have your say. Spread some love. Whatever you want to do. 07491 25,000. That's your number to contact. Right, back with our first guest after these.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
So you're struggling with your mobile connection?
Yes, I've tried everything.
Have you tried walking in a circle, standing on a chair, shouting instead of speaking?
This is ridiculous.
Best I can do for you, I'm afraid.
Let me be your hero. Fear not, Super Helpful Mobile has got you covered. With 99% coverage, staying connected has never been easier when you join Tesco Mobile. This is Supermarket Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. 99% population coverage. Visit tescomobile.ie/service-information.
If you're 65 or over, or you have a weak immune system, you can now get your second COVID-19 booster vaccine. Your vaccine is due 4 months after your last vaccine. It will improve your protection from COVID-19. You can book a vaccination centre appointment on hsc.ie or contact a participating GP or pharmacy. For more information on your second booster or to book an appointment, visit hsc.ie or call our team in HSE Live on 1800 700 700 from the HSE for us all.
Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Electrical in Letterkenny and Dunlow. If you have a smoky oven, a noisy dishwasher or a slow wash machine, we can help. With a rich selection of the latest appliances from top names like Zanussi, Samsung, Miele and Neff. As a Keller Gas main supplier, we also have a full range of gas cookers, and because we're part of the Euronics Group, everything we offer is great value.
Ben Sweeney Euronics. We deliver, we install, we care.
Is your car due a service? For the month of May, get your car serviced at iMotors Letterkenny and avail of a free vehicle health check and a free oil change. For more details, check out our website or Facebook. Call us today on 074 913 4567 to book in.
Terms and conditions apply.
All right, so we learned this week that there was a 79% increase in the number of complaints to the Ombudsman's for Children's Office in 2021, reflecting the disruption experienced by children, particularly in the area of education. To tease this out a bit more, I'm pleased to welcome onto the programme the Ombudsman for Children, Director of Complaints and Investigations, Nuala Ward. Good morning to you, Nuala.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you very much for joining us, Nuala. Right, okay, so 79% increase in complaints last year, 2% of the complaints coming from Donegal. We'll start with the first figure. Tell us who is generally making these complaints, what format they take, some examples if you can. Obviously, we're not compromising anyone's privacy in their contacts, but I just want to get a feel for what's driving what type of person to make what type of call.
Okay, that's a very good question, actually, Greg. So we get a range of people contacting us. The vast majority are parents of children who are just getting so frustrated about not getting services for their children, or they feel their children weren't treated fairly in a public service or in a school, that they've made a complaint and it hasn't been resolved, and they still feel very upset. So that's when we can come in, and that's who contact us. We often get contacted from grannies, from aunties, from uncles, from sisters, all of which who really feel that we might be able to help the children that they know and care for so much. What is really helpful is we also get complaints from professionals. Maybe people might know that, but from school principals, from teachers, medical professionals, right up to consultants, who again are just frustrated about the service and want to see if we can help. And of course we get contact from young people themselves, mainly teenagers. A lot of the time that would be teenagers in care, but last year we actually got a lot of complaints from year before from young people who were so frustrated about the leaving certificate. So we were delighted about that. So that's the type of people, whole range of people, Greg, would come to us.
And what happened with these complaints? Like, say for instance the leaving cert debacle. I mean, obviously there are children or young people who felt that, you know, their voices weren't being listened to. There was some engagement, but from speaking to some, they felt it was more just sort of, you know, patting on the back and on the top of the head and saying, listen, thanks for your opinion. did they waste their time in complaining to the Children's Ombudsman? Like, what would come from those type of representations?
Yeah. No, we take the voice of children incredibly seriously, and not only because it's our statutory obligation to do so under international obligations and also our legislation, but because that's our job. Our job is to listen to children and to amplify what they're saying. So what we got, it was brilliant, because what we did, we got all those complaints from children who took the time to write to us, express how concerned they were. We were able to analyse them, put them into themes, and we brought them straight to the Minister for Education. We repeatedly, I think we've been fair to the Ombudsman for Children, Niall, he was repeatedly asking for people to listen to the children. And I do believe their voices made a change last year and this year.
Was there any level of coordination in the contacts with your office? In other words, maybe say a group of parents that weren't particularly happy with, some mandates or whatever it might be. I'm just wanting to make sure that this, was a truly organic 79% increase.
Oh, just be very, very clear. There was, as you can see from our launch yesterday, we got over 2,126 complaints, but of them, it's really important to note that over 900 of them are related to COVID. So, of course, as you can appreciate, at the time during 2021...
But did they follow a pattern, though? Were these 900 individuals, do you believe, that contacted the office, or was there a level of organisation to it?
Oh, yeah, there was. And for some of them, yes, but it's really important. We treat every single one as an individual complaint, because it's about children. Every person that contacts us is contacting us about a child or about children known to them, or they can just raise concerns about what they believe are children's rights issues. So what we had to do is we assess everyone and consider what we can do. So it was about, for example, school closures, face masks on children in school. So while we're not a public health advisory body, we are a children's rights institution. So throughout the pandemic, we reiterated time and time again that any public health restrictions that impacted on children were proportionate, reasonable, and for the minimum time possible. So I think everybody has to agree the children had a really difficult time. It was actually lovely listening to you earlier, Greg, talking about the joy you felt last night.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was fantastic. Because they had to do it in a really short period of time too, because there was a bit of uncertainty. It was being pushed back and back. And what they achieved to manage to jam in, and it wasn't jammed in because that does it a disservice, but in the short space they had at the end of the academic year was remarkable.
Yeah, and that's what we want for going forward. We want that type of, because just the joy, I do feel the word joy, I think for people who are at sidelines, who are back in feshes and welcoming children interact with each other. That's what we want now for the future, because the children have done so well, they've been so tested. So now we just want to see a big investment into local communities, into health services, public services, to try and help the children as best we can for the future. So it was lovely. It was just really nice to hear it.
What do you make of the spread of the complaints? Like, quite remarkably, there's, like a third of the counties had 21 complaints. Is that just a quirk?
When you mean that the vast majority are from Cork and Dublin?
No, Carlow, Kilkenny, Leitrim, Longford, Louth, Mayo, Roscommon, Offaly, Sligo, Tipperary, Waterford, Westmeath. The total complaints were 21.
Well, I think it all depends on what's going on in the local county. You've got to, what I think is really powerful with social media now, I've seen this change in the last few years, is that people who may individually be frustrated and not knowing where to go are finding other parents, finding other people who have got the same problems that are affecting their children, and are coming together to make complaints, coming together in groups, coming together on Facebook. So they're coming together and they're amplifying their voices. So I would imagine that when you go into the different counties, there may be specific issues that have been relevant to that county. And I'm sure Donegal, no doubt, would be the same. Even though we didn't, I would love to see more, well, not more complaints from Donegal, but just to kind of like remember that we're here.
Oh, for sure, because there's always going to be a balance of an increase in issues, but an increase in awareness, and that happens across the board. Yeah, just outside of that, as it relates to complaints or representations, traveller issues, direct provision, and the barrier facing children with disabilities, and of course the latter one, a big story today. Do you get a sense that when you progress these complaints that the government has to listen, the Department of Education has to listen, or the departments with responsibility have to listen and have to take on board seriously your representations, or however you present your findings to the relevant bodies?
Yes, they do. So when we do an investigation, for example, you made reference there to the big investigation that we did in relation to the living conditions of children on a halting site, and it was appalling. So yes, they do listen. They have to listen because we come back. So we don't write a report, make recommendations, and just let them sit and gather dust on a shelf. We're very tenacious. We're a small office, but we're very committed to what we do. So right here, right now, we're doing our 12-month follow-up, and so we're meeting with ministers. We're meeting with the local authorities. We're back with the families, back on the site. We want to see what has changed in the last 12 months. Same with direct provision, and same when we come to any issues in relation to children with disabilities. In fairness, we consider children with disabilities particularly vulnerable in our office, and not just necessarily because of their disability. It's because that they're not getting the chance to achieve their full potential. And we're very mindful that parents that come to us have oftentimes fought and are very tired, but they're still keeping going by making a complaint to us, and we respect them deeply for that. So we tend to try and fix them as much as we can within our remit with the services to make things, to get a good, quick, effective resolution for the child. It has to be in the child's best interest, and that's what we do.
Okay, currently then we're in the situation that a 79% increase in complaints have been made to the Ombudsman for children. Education issues, as you mentioned, dominating, and we've been through that. But what needs to happen from here? You know, are we going to talk next year and it's going to be a further 24% increase on this year's figures? Or, you know what I mean? Like, yes. Us logging this and recognising it, and I know your office does work to try and address these, but there is stuff that we can't be annual, that we can't be doing every year, that we need to take action on. Are you confident that's happening?
Well, say I know what you mean. So for individual cases, you will see through our case studies outcomes we were able to achieve for individual children. So that's why I just want to put that message out. We can help just to people, and we can't, we will tell you. We're very upfront. We won't waste your time. But you're right. So for example, 10% of the complaints in the education sector are in relation to bullying. Now this has been the same figure year on year, and we see firsthand the devastating impact bullying has on the children, on families, and on the school community. So for example, this year now we're delighted, after relentless pressure from a number of groups, including ourselves, and in fairness to the senior officials in the Department of Education, they are pulling together a steering committee to revise our new bullying action plan. And so I think that's really important. We are going to be determined that that is child focused and rights-based. Okay. And you're right, that is actually drive-through changes for children, because otherwise what's the point? Like,
just one final, just a quick example, because it might help with people knowing when to get in touch with your office. We had a call from a listener not so long ago, and their child, we don't know why, was given detention, after school detention of 1 hour. And that left them in a very awkward situation, because as you can imagine, Nuala, there are some distances you have to travel to get to school and what have you, right? So they said, right, the child's going to miss the bus. We're working. We've got no way of getting this child, yet the school had given this detention. And the parent was in the position as to, you know, do I tell the child just to come home, get on the bus and ignore the detention and have it out with the school after the fact or whatever? So, like, if they contacted the school and the school says, look, that's the school policy, like it or lump it, is that the type of issue could be elevated to your office? And I think I could understand why they would, because there has to be other ways to discipline other than leaving a child in a situation where they miss a bus home.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good example. So I think first and foremost, if someone like that was to contact our office, one of my team would take the call, talk through it, and the key piece is make a complaint to the school. Every school is obliged to have a complaints policy. They have to go through. It tends to be they try to deal with it. There's different stages. Go onto the website. If people can't find it, we will help you find it, and go to the school. And you have a process of escalation to try and get the answers. Most schools tend to be reasonable, and they understand. If that's not resolved, or is deeply unhappy and it's not a reasonable response, if you're told no, then still come to us, and we might take a look at it. So we might take a look at the school and figure out what is in the child's best interest. So that's exactly the type of complaint, is to pick up the phone to us and let us talk through and see if we can help. If we can't, we will tell you. But
even that conversation might, to some extent, resolve it for the parent or guardian too. All right, listen, Nuala, thank you for that. I appreciate it. How do people get in contact?
Oh, yes. So I know I generally it's just through our website, which is www.oco.ie, but I'm very aware of the patchy broadband at times. So I have two numbers. One is our free phone number, which is 1-800 20 20 40. And our other one is 01 86 56 800. My team, the team are so friendly. Please don't hesitate to call us. We will be delighted to help if we can.
Okay.
And thank you very much, Greg, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No, it's been lovely speaking to you. I appreciate your time. Take care of yourself. That's the Ombudsman for Children, the Director of Complaints and Investigations, Nuala Ward. 086 60 25,000. Any comments? If you want your view on gambling, and should gambling advertisement be restricted before the 9 p.m. notional watershed? Though we watch so much streaming TV now, that watershed, it's nonsense really, isn't it? But anyway, go on to our social media on Twitter and Instagram. Have your say there.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
Experience a taste of Italy with the Italian event at Dunnes Stores. Mix and match any 3 for 2 on our new Italian range. Think delicious Italian-made fresh and filled pastas, flavoursome sauces, hand-stretched stone-baked pizzas, and all butter tear and share breads. Buy any 2 products, get the 3rd free. Plus, with our 10.50 grocery voucher, you save even more, which means every trip to Dunnes Stores means better value. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used in ex-grocery shop for €50 or more.
Treat your garden to a makeover at GMG Stone Letterkenny. We offer great value on decorative stone, garden paving, slabs and artificial grass. All tailored to your needs with home delivery available. We also supply railway sleepers, whiskey barrels and place sand. All available for pickup or delivery. Open Monday to Saturday from 9:30am to 6pm. You will find us beside Donaghy Motorhomes on the Port Road. For an appointment, call 087 647 9121. GMG Stone, just what your garden needs.
Wetsuit on and underwater by 8.
Aprons on, breakfast orders in, conversation flowing, loving every second.
Every day is different. There's always new faces. It really suits me.
It fits my schedule. I can see friends, do my yoga, balance work with life and enjoy both.
My career in tourism works for me.
And mine works for me.
Get a career in tourism that works for you. Visit tourismcareers.ie. Brought to you by Fáilte Ireland.
Now, many of you won't have, but if some of you have happened to drive past Letterkenny University Hospital, you will see a number of people out on a picket line, because medical scientists have taken to the picket lines to resolve unfilled posts, pay parity, career pathways and increasing demands. Medical scientists have begun the industrial action today in their frustration over long-standing pay and career development issues. Tony Canavan is CEO of the Celta Hospital Group. He joins us on the programme now. Tony, thanks for your time this morning.
Morning, Greg.
Right. Firstly, before we talk of the impact of this, do you have sympathy for those protesting today? Do you back them?
Well, I do have sympathy for them, and our understanding is, as you described, this is a long-standing issue relating to pay parity. Principally, it's about pay parity, and I certainly do have sympathy for the members of the MLSA in that regard. And also, I would recognise that our scientists in the laboratories provide a really important and essential service. They're not necessarily people that patients see all the time, but yet hospitals cannot run properly without those services. So I certainly see them as being a very important part of the service we provide.
All right, we were talking to the union representing these medical scientists yesterday. They say they've made every effort to avoid today's disruption to patients, and say they're doing as much as they can to ensure that essential stuff is done in very layman terms, Tony. But there is going to be disruption.
There's no doubt that there will be very significant disruption. Indeed, there's already been disruption and upset for patients arising from this. Across hospitals across the country, but across our group, have been cancelling patients since early yesterday morning, making contact with them by phone, etc., to let them know that their elective procedure or their outpatient appointment or otherwise is not now taking place. And that creates an upset for patients who have made arrangements and prepared themselves for those procedures. And it also, we're expecting that there will be very significant impact on our emergency departments. Our emergency departments are already extremely busy. Letterkenny has had very high levels of attendance over the last month in particular. And we expect that that this action and the disruption today will add to that and lead to further patient delays within the emergency department.
And that manifests itself as literally waiting longer, does it?
We're expecting that it'll manifest itself in a couple of ways. I think that patients that are attending the emergency department for non-urgent reasons will find that they are significantly delayed within the department. It'll just take them a lot longer to pass through. We're also expecting that the numbers of patients awaiting admission on trolleys will increase. Now, fortunately, in Letterkenny this morning, there are only 2 patients awaiting admission on trolleys, and Letterkenny has been doing fairly well, actually, in that regard over the last 4 weeks or so. But we would expect that will change as a result of this action. The whole hospital process will slow down. Numbers of patients discharged today will slow down, and so we are anticipating that the numbers of patients on trolleys will increase.
Yes, and I'm not expecting you to comment on this, Tony, but I suppose the union will argue this is, what they had to do to show the importance of the work that they do, even though it's in inverted commas behind the scenes. It's one day today. How long after they return to work this evening or tomorrow, I don't know what their shift pattern is, will it take to catch up? There'll be a lag then, presumably, in getting things back to the way they were, will there?
There absolutely will. If we experience an increase in numbers of patients on trolleys, and I expect we will, it will take us a number of days to bring that back into equilibrium, and it'll certainly be after the weekend before we would achieve that. But for elective procedures that we've cancelled, while we will do our very best to ensure that we reschedule people as quickly as possible, that is going to be difficult. We already have significant waiting lists. We have very significant numbers of patients awaiting elective procedures, and it's if you lose a day of activity, as we're losing today, it's very difficult to reschedule that.
I'm not sure if you mentioned earlier on, have you an idea of how many people would have been contacted to say their elective treatment is not going ahead?
We don't have an exact count at this stage for each of our hospitals, but we know that some of the services, for example, in Letterkenny that are impacted, the endoscopy service, the bronchoscopy service, the warfarin clinic, all of these are impacted by the cancellations that have taken place.
Right, and you don't know when those cancellations can or would be rescheduled?
We can't say, except that we will be doing our best to reschedule them as quickly as we possibly can. But again, bearing in mind that we already have significant waiting lists, and we have patients scheduled for Thursday and Friday and so on to try and address that.
Right, so this is one day of action today. You've talked already of the impacts that will have. The procedures being cancelled. We don't know precisely when they can be rescheduled. It might run into the weekend to sort of catch up on other work. 2 days next week, 3 days the week afterwards. So we're heading into a very difficult period if there's not a resolution here.
Absolutely, and I would say that we don't, it's as today progresses, we'll start to understand the full impact of this action, both on hospital services and indeed on patients as well. This is new territory for us, so we will be trying to understand how that impacts today. One thing we're clear on, though, if this is extended into a 2-day dispute or even a 3-day dispute, it will really have very, very significant impact on hospital services, no question about it.
So with that in mind, Tony, it's imperative that whatever parties need to get together to try and come up with some sort of a deferral or a resolution or whatever it might be, that's hugely important to the running of the health service locally and nationally.
I think we all need to be very clear in our minds about the impact that this is having on patient care. All of us, all of us that have a responsibility for the delivery of care, this is having a significant impact on patient care, and we need to bear that in mind when deciding on the best steps to take to avoid a 2-day dispute. Okay,
one of the other big issues up here at the moment, Tony, and also Sligo, is the loss of the angiogram service. Now, we had the general manager of the hospital on a couple of weeks ago. I'm paraphrasing. I hope I'm doing it accurately. He was actually quite confident at that time, but couldn't give the commitment because how could he? That we could see a continuance, that the facilities in Letterkenny that are there would be able to be utilised, and indeed maybe we could have a better utilisation of what is there. Now, I noticed it's been picked up by the politicians. I'm not sure if they have good news on the horizon and they're trying to get a piece of that action, or if Sean Murphy's opinion is out of date now. From your perspective, what is the situation with these services?
Yeah, I mean, just to explain briefly, the difficulty for us in Sligo and in Letterkenny arises because the company that provides the mobile or visiting service have notified us that they're from a date that they'll no longer be able to provide that service going forward. In Letterkenny, we're aware, that there is the facility and there's the equipment that has been purchased through fundraising in the local community, and that's there. We're carrying out an assessment currently to see what elements of the service, or if the service can be provided in some way using that equipment. That assessment is being done currently. It's not completed yet. When it's completed, we'll have better answers then as to what we can continue to provide. Our hope is that we would try and provide and sustain local services where that's appropriate and where it can be done safely. So our hope is that the outcome from that process will be positive.
So the work that was done by this mobile unit, just so we're clear, Tony, for those of us outside of it and your level of expertise, is there going to be a break in that service, or are you optimistic that the services provided by that mobile unit will be able to continue?
Well, first, the mobile service we
in hospital, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, sorry. We do have to come up with solutions before the visiting service finishes. So, and we are hopeful that we'll have answers to those questions before the mobile service finishes with in both Sligo and in Letterkenny.
So, you, as the hospital manager, was a couple of weeks. So, you're hopeful but not certain that there won't be a break in these services between something being put in place and this mobile unit no longer visiting.
You see, I suppose for many of the patients that receive this care, the option of it being deferred or put on a waiting list or otherwise, that isn't an option. So they will have to receive the care. The question that arises is, will we be able to continue to provide the care that's currently provided, or indeed elements of that?
What's your best answer then at this point?
The reason that we've engaged 3 experts to answer that question for us is because they're the right people to make that call and to advise them that it wouldn't be appropriate for me to guess it in advance of them coming back to us with their recommendation.
Okay, but you are responsible for presumably services and retaining them as much as possible.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But
so you have a view. You have a view outside of what these experts are going to say to you, surely.
My view is that if at all possible, what we would like to do is to continue to provide services locally where that's appropriate. What we don't want to do is provide services locally that are of a lower standard than patients deserve.
In terms of these experts, will they look at other options? Say, for instance, for us here in the Northwest, maybe some of these services could be provided in Derry as opposed to Dublin or Galway. Is that a possibility? Can that be discussed?
Yeah, well, just to be clear, what we have asked the experts to look at is whether or not the equipment that is currently available in Letterkenny can provide some aspects or all aspects of the service that is currently provided. That's what we've asked them to answer for us. Other options outside of that, like the ones that you've mentioned, they're ones that we will have to examine in ourselves on a service delivery basis going forward.
In terms of the notice you were given by this private company that they were no longer to provide this service, was it adequate? Was it within the terms of the contract? Because for such an important service, the notice, I think you were told in February, if my memory serves me correctly, seems very short notice for such an important and I presume quite an expensive contract.
Yeah, so again, my understanding, and without having examined the contract, my understanding is that they have operated entirely within the terms of the contract that has been provided. And yes, while it would always be preferable for us to have a long lead-in time for these types of service changes, sometimes that's just not possible. But
have we asked them if they could defer it or extend the service whilst we continue the exploration of an alternative?
Yeah, we've engaged with our first action actually was to engage with the company to ask them to continue to provide the service and not to withdraw at all, and then to explore any other options that might be that they may be open to. But it's clear that that's not going to be something that we can do going forward. So we do have to find an alternative.
Did they give a reason as to why they were pulling out?
Well, my understanding is that it's to do with the decision that they're taking about withdrawing the service from the country as a whole, that they're changing a direction in terms of the business they provide.
Right, okay. And you talk about this equipment that was bought, $750,000. I was told it was state of the art. Are you saying that it might actually, we don't yet know if it is fit for this purpose? And if it's not fit for this purpose and it's not really being used to its full potential, do you know what its potential actually is and what's it doing there?
Yeah, so it is being used for the provision of some services currently, but I think it is fair to say that it is being underused at the moment. For the last number of years since the equipment actually was provided, we have put forward business cases for the funding for staffing of this service so that it can be used more comprehensively. And that business case was prepared through the hospital and then submitted through sales to the National HSE. And we haven't received funding for the provision of the staff that would run more.
You have or haven't?
Haven't.
Okay.
We haven't receive that. So that's that's that part of it. But for where we're at today in terms of the mobile service being withdrawn, it will be probably another week or so before we have a recommendation from the experts who are looking at the situation now.
There is a sense up here, people would say that, there's challenges facing Letterkenny University Hospital that don't face Sligo University Hospital. For those that live in sort of that in-between area, they might choose to go to Sligo better because it has a better reputation, or there seems to be less issues down there, less delays. Is there a particular reason why, firstly, is it the case that there's particular challenges at Letterkenny that don't exist in Sligo? And if that is the case, why is it the case? Is it resources? Is it management? Is it location?
I'm really not sure. I suppose when we look at Letterkenny University Hospital, we say that Letterkenny Hospital provides a really important service because of its location. So if you consider where Letterkenny Hospital is and the population of Donegal, north of that and indeed south of that, it's quite a significant population. And that's reflected in the level of activity that takes place within the hospital. It's a busy hospital, very busy emergency department, busy inpatient services and so on. But we also recognise that hospitals today, they work as part of groups, so the importance of linking Letterkenny to Sligo and to Galway and to other hospitals is very, very significant. It can't be overstated in terms of providing good patient care. We need our hospitals to be connected together, and it's difficult to do that when geography is working against you. So the location of Letterkenny, 3.5 hours drive from Galway, an hour and a half from Sligo, that creates additional challenges. There's no doubt about that. But we are absolutely committed to trying to meet those challenges because, as I said at the very start, Letterkenny performs a very, very important function in the context of the population that it's serving.
Very finally, I know this is quite specific, and I understand if you don't have an answer, but maybe we could get one from you. There obviously is some great concern locally, particularly north in Inishowen, the islands, that important treatment that people get on their eyes is not available in Letterkenny, eye injections, etc., that they're having to travel to Sligo. We've spoken to people who actually choose not to get this treatment because either they can't make that journey or they don't want to make that journey. Is there any, firstly, you across that particular issue, is there any moves to have even, 1 day a month or whatever might be required for this, particularly for our older generation and the care of their eyes? Is there any plans to have that located in Letterkenny, particularly for people maybe in Arranmore, Tory, Malin, wherever they might be, that don't want to face that or can't face that journey to Sligo? This has been going on for some time. Are there any moves to address it?
So I'd be really upfront with you, Greg. It's not an issue that I'm particularly familiar with. However, as a general issue, I do have to say that our focus within Letterkenny Hospital has to be to ensure that we provide really good general medical services and really good general surgical services. I think in the past, in hospitals like Letterkenny, we have tried to put bits or parts of services in place. It's extremely difficult to sustain them when we do that, and it's also extremely difficult to ensure that the quality of the care that's provided on that basis is as good as it should be and as good as patients deserve. So it's an unfortunate reality that that patients do have to travel more nowadays, and not just patients within Donegal to Letterkenny or outside of Donegal. Patients across the country have to travel more to avail of more specialised services, and as I say at the very start, I'm not particularly familiar with this issue, but that would be the general position. Right, I appreciate you touched on a couple of other things, and also a little bit vague in the last one, but I'm having to do some of this off memory, and we sort of got you okayed not so long ago, Tony. So I appreciate that. Thank you for joining us this morning. Thanks indeed.
Take care, Tony. That's Tony Canavan there, CEO of Celta Hospital Group. As I say, I tried to get across as many of those important issues that we've been discussing of late. Obviously, I'm not going to get all of them, but there you are. Right, 086 60 25,000. Any reflections on that conversation? 086 60 25,000 or call 07491 25,000.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure has everything you need for getting fit in 2022. From training gear to resistance bands, skipping ropes, weights and foam rollers, we have all the essentials to see you through every step of your fitness journey from training to recovery. Shop our range of gym wear, equipment and accessories at michaelmurphysports.ie.
A huge sale is now on at McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny. It's a chance to save hundreds of euros on floor model suites, beds and mattresses, dining and occasional furniture with reductions in all departments. It's a great opportunity to grab a real bargain in the big sale at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Come along to Beaver Log Cabins Big Weekend, Saturday 21st and Sunday 22nd of May. Beaver Log Cabins are Ireland's biggest bespoke log cabin company, with quality cabins, home offices, hot tubs, gazebos and more. Located in Bonamy and Bridgend, this family-friendly weekend features a range of offers, discounts, prizes and promotions. See beaverlogcabins.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to beautiful Mallorca every Friday this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best beaches. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Okie doke, the morning will be dry and sunny across our region. In the afternoon, though, there will be rain with the possibility of embedded thunderstorms. They'll develop in the west of the region and becoming widespread. Southerly winds will increase, fresh, then strong and gusty, highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees. Okay, let us go to what you're saying out there today. Children as young as 10 years old are aware of gambling through TikTok and other social media outlets, where certain gambling companies are doing very well through these channels and catching the attention of young people where it's being glamorised. That comes in from Michael. Hi, Greg. Couldn't believe the price. Sister bought a 2016 Jeep last week in the north, 11 grand sterling. Same Jeep in a garage in Donegal, 24,500 euro. Unreal. That's why so many people from Donegal are driving northern cars. But is she going to take it across between is it VAT, the NOx charges, plates and all that kind of stuff? I wonder, maybe she's in a position to be able to continue to drive this Jeep on northern plates, but let us know how much it's going to cost her to take it across. Good morning, Greg. The public sector is the only sector that can hold us hostage. It's about time their wages went with inflation. Inflation goes up, their wages go down. It's simple. How many more lies can bars tell while on camera before someone calls him a liar to his face? Do you know what? And this is the most ridiculous thing about the leader of one of the big powers. He's called a liar to his face on numerous occasions. Journalists sit down and say to him, you lied to us about Partygate. Can we trust you? It's unreal. I don't think any other political leader has to endure that, of their own making, of course. Re-advertising and gambling. What about the advertising of alcohol before the watershed from the major supermarkets advertising discounts of products, including alcohol? Is there nobody checking this? Yeah, and I don't think this is, as to say, us being all woke and scared of everything, and I can get why people might sort of push back on this. But, you get to a certain age and you can make decisions and good decisions whereby, and I was the same, and I'm sure many people out there listening, the likes of alcohol, not really gambling for me, but likes of alcohol, it's kind of so normalised that it's like a rite of passage. As soon as you can, or as soon as you get the alcohol on, you're all right, you get a drink into you because it's so associated with everything, and we start really young, and it's because we're being conditioned and exposed to it, of course, as well in other aspects of life. But that's changing a little bit, I think, and I just think that these we can crack on with life without these adverts, and then when we get to the appropriate age, then we can start make our own decisions based on where we want to be at that time. A caller says there's no such thing as clean or green electricity, it's just buzzwords. Yeah, but there's a lot of people investing a lot of money in these buzzwords, so there's money in it too. Greg, emergency department services are a mess. I waited for 12 hours in the ED because we had to wait on a specialist from Gweedore. Another lady had been in 15 hours by the time I had left. These times are not unusual. They're not unusual, but the problem is, and we understand the need for people to be able to take industrial action to further their cause, especially when it's been going on for years and years and years. Those waits, those delays, unfortunately for you out there, if you have to make a visit, are going to be longer today, maybe into tomorrow. And if the strike is extended to 2 days next week, 3 days the following, you heard there from the head of the hospital group in the in this region. It's good to have access to these people, to get it from the horse's mouth. Things will get much worse. There are people who had built themselves up for an elective procedure. Elective doesn't mean, by the way, it's grand, I want to do this, it's I'm electing to do it. Some of these procedures are incredibly important to people's outcomes and pain relief and what have you. There's people out there that had themselves built up for this for today. All the anxiety, a bad pack maybe at the door, and got a phone call to say, we're not able to see you today and we can't tell you when you are going to be seen. My heart is with those people because there's families going through awful stress this morning. If you want to try and help us understand how stressful that is for you, you can share your story with us if you want to. Only 07491 25,000. Donna Maria, Caroline taking your call today. Okay, we're back with more on the news. We're back with more on the programme after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
New this week in Home Store and More. All pillows are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half-price pillows are gone, they're gone. Also, all laundry hampers and baskets and all Hotel Collection duvet sets are still half price. But when all our half-price laundry hampers and baskets and all our half-price Hotel Collection duvet sets are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Attention all tractor and forklift owners. Donegal Tyres in Donegal Town is a leading supplier of agricultural and solid forklift tyres in the northwest with a huge range available at competitive prices. Donegal Tyres can help you choose the correct tyre for your application and we will come to you, so no downtime. Check out DonegalTyres.com or call 07497 21482. That's Donegal Tyres, Donegal Town, where you'll get a great deal.
McDade's Bathroom, Plumbing and Tiles, serving the Northwest for over 40 years. Explore our showroom with more than 40 displays. Choose from an array of shower doors, shower trays, baths and bathroom accessories. Speak with an expert about tile selection and wall paneling. We also stock an array of plumbing, heating and stove spare parts, as well as a great selection of kitchen mixers and radiators at our trade counter. Our stove department is also available for you to choose a style that suits your needs and complements your home. McDade's Bathroom, Plumbing, Tiles, we're here for you.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. Celthus Chief Executive says analysis is continuing in a bid to find a way to continue angiogram services at Letterkenny University Hospital. Tony Canavan was speaking a short time ago on the 9 till noon show. Earlier, Minister Charlie McConnell said the Department of Health, Celtha and the HSC are working to assess appropriate means for an angiogram service to continue at LUH. The current mobile cardiology unit, which is currently placed there, will be removed at the end of June. The statement came after Donegal Action for Cancer Care wrote to the Minister and Donegal's 4 TDs, urging them to act to save the service. Chair Betty Holmes says the continued loss of services effectively represents a downgrading of the hospital.
I said, I think it's over 13, 14 years ago, that Letterkenny Hospital would in effect become the new St. Joseph's because the services are drip by drip being stripped from the hospital. And if the angiogram service goes, then Letterkenny Hospital is in effect the new community hospital. Regional and national level over the years, DACC have seen no real true commitment to Donegal and the needs of the sick of Donegal.
The HSE says industrial action will have a very disabling impact on Letterkenny University Hospital and other hospitals throughout the country today. Over 2,100 medical scientists have stopped routine lab services. The strike ends at 8 tonight. The pay dispute has led to inpatient and day case procedures being cancelled. Britain's Foreign Secretary says sensible, pragmatic changes are needed to the Northern Ireland Protocol. Liz Truss confirmed yesterday the British government would legislate for the change to the protocol unilaterally in order to encourage the DUP to re-enter power sharing at Stormont. She says the UK's proposed changes would also work to the EU's advantage.
We've proposed a solution, creating a green lane into Northern Ireland. That helps protect the EU single market, which is what they're concerned of, and also helps protect trade into Northern Ireland. So we can get a pragmatic solution. I want the EU to come to the negotiating table so we can agree that together. But if that doesn't happen, we do need to move ahead delivering this solution for the people of Northern Ireland.
People are being told not to be alarmed if they see heightened or unusual activity in and around Donegal Bay today. A marine rescue exercise is taking place, coordinated by the Coast Guard. With more detail, here's Donna Marie Doherty.
The Coast Guard Service is leading a large-scale maritime exercise along with other agencies off the Donegal coast today. Named Blue Hills, the exercise is testing major incident plans with a focus on operational capability and coordination of the relevant authorities for a major maritime search and rescue incident. The agencies involved in the exercise include Donegal County Council, the HSE, An Garda Síochána, Dublin Fire Brigade, the Naval Service, Air Corps, RNLI and others. The Coast Guard says the exercise is being conducted in the proximity of Donegal Bay and includes both live and virtual participation. There will be no disruption to services during this exercise.
Postmasters will tell an Oireachtas committee meeting today the Post Office network is at a crucial juncture and in desperate need of government support. The IPU will tell TDs and senators that €12 million in annual funding is necessary to prevent large-scale closures. The chair of the Transport and Communications Committee, Kieran O'Donnell, says it's a vital service that must be protected.
We must ensure that network can survive. It must be a sustainable network. And obviously, for that to ensure that can happen, it must be financially viable for postmasters up and down the length and breadth of the country to be able to operate in a sustainable manner. And that obviously will require supports for additional services they can provide. We want to go into detail on that with Ned O'Hara and his colleagues in the Irish Postmasters Union.
Remote workers could save up to €1,400 each per year. New government research shows while those who work from home could see their heating costs rise by €79 and electricity by €30, eliminating the cost of a car could see remote workers better off by €304 each year. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar says working from home has many benefits for employees and for employers.
And the research that we've done does indicate two significant upsides from remote working. One is that it's easier for people with caring responsibilities, particularly parents, and also people with disabilities to enter and stay in the workforce. And the other is that it can produce savings. We're all very aware of the very high cost at the moment of commuting, the price of petrol and diesel.
Looking at the weather forecast, dry and sunny this morning, but rain will kick in the afternoon, starting in the west and then spreading right across the region. A possibility of some thunderstorms as well. Southerly winds increasing fresh, then strong and gusty in highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees Celsius. The rain will clear and winds ease tonight, but it will stay fresh in western coastal areas. Lowest overnight temperatures 5 to 7 degrees Celsius. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 18th of May. The death has occurred of Kevin Little, 6 Upper Killay Road, Derry, formerly of Hamilton Street. Kevin's remains will repose at his late residence from 2 o'clock this afternoon. Removal on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock to St Columba's Church, Long Tower for Requiem Mass at 3, followed by interment in St Murray's Cemetery, Fawn. Requiem Mass can be viewed on longtowerchurch.org. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. and before the funeral on Friday. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Raymond Brennan, Glenn McQuinn, Letterkenny, formerly of Ardra. His remains will repose at Gallagher's Funeral Home, Station Road, Mount Charles, from 5 until 8 this evening. Removal from there tomorrow to St Noel's Church, Ardahi, for 1 o'clock funeral mass, with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Irish Lung Foundation. Funeral mass will be live streamed on the St Noel's Parish Inver Facebook page. The death has taken place of Robert Bob McNutt, 39 Main Street, Castle Caulfield, and formerly of Tullybogley, Manor Cunningham. Funeral service in Castle Caulfield Presbyterian Church tomorrow at 12 noon, followed by interment in the family burial ground at First Rite Presbyterian Church, Manor Cunningham, arriving at approximately 4:15. House private, family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to Mary Curie, care of Martin and Sons Funeral Directors, Dungannon. The death has taken place of Elizabeth Doherty, Tinney, Ballymagan, Buncrana. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:30 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Cockhill, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 10 a.m. The death has taken place of Kathleen Drum, née Doherty, Drumboy Lifford, and formerly of Queen Street, Derry. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:25 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Murlock at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on clonleyparish.com. The death has taken place of Canis Gamble, formerly of Corcullion, Castlefin. His remains will repose in Quigley's Funeral Home, Strabane, tomorrow morning from 11 o'clock with service at 12 noon, followed by interment in Strabane Cemetery. The death has occurred of Rosie McCarran, née McGroarty, 9 McNeely Villas, Old Town, Letterkenny. Rosie's remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, going to St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Cornwall Cemetery. Family time, please, from 10 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. Family flowers only, please. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. And the death has taken place of James Kenneth Gallagher. Funeral service in Adair and Neely Funeral Home for family circle and Kenneth's closest friends this afternoon at 2 o'clock. The cortege will leave Adair and Neely at 2:45, travelling via Creve Road, Drumloher, Tyroddy, Corcampbell to Crossroads Burial Ground for a private family burial. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Crossroads Presbyterian Church, care of Mr Richard Russell, 33 Creva Road, Londonderry. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. COVID-19 can still cause serious illness, especially in people at higher risk. We need to keep protecting each other. So stay home if you have symptoms. Wear a mask in healthcare settings, public transport, and busy places. Let fresh air in if you're meeting indoors. Keep hands clean. And get a COVID-19 vaccine and booster. Let's keep looking out for each other. From the HSE, for us all.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Thanks for keeping us busy as always on the phone lines. This caller said, I have MS and have to travel to Sligo for treatment. This is unfair for all MS sufferers. Yes, indeed. But unfortunately, listening to the comments there from the head of the Salta Hospital Group, I wouldn't say he's unapologetic, but he's suggesting that, you know, we've looked at putting some of these services, if it's applicable, into Letterkenny, and to be able to operate them at the standard that is required, it doesn't always work, which I thought was quite an interesting comment. The first time I've heard that line. All right, we're going to take a short break for you to play the bingo, because I know a lot of you are waiting to do so. We'll come back after that, and we'll be joined by our next group of guests after it. All right, here you are. Here are the numbers.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday the 18th of May. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S18. It's game number 20. The numbers are 50, 11, 23, 19, 78, 32, 90, 65, 35, and finally 64. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The Kia Sportage, Donegal's best-selling car for 2022. If you're thinking about making the move to Kia or to upgrade your current Kia, make sure to call in today to iMotors Letterkenny or Malin. With a 7-year warranty as standard, driving a Kia makes sense.
AB Plant Exports Group are currently buying all types of excavators, loading shovels and backhoes for export from 3 tonne to 70 tonne. Contact AB Plant Exports Group today and you will receive the very best price across Ireland, north and south. For more information, contact AB Plant Exports Group on 0873 779966.
We're all faced with things going up these days, but you'll still find amazing value every single day at Aldi. And you could save over €70 on your big family shop when compared to one of our nearest competitors. Nearest and dearest indeed. So don't change your lifestyle, change your supermarket. Aldi, every day amazing. Comparisons against products sourced in SuperValue 28th of March 22. Lowest pro rate used and offers excluded. For full details, see aldi.ie.
We can all see how conflict affects energy prices. More than ever, we need to be mindful of how we use energy. By reducing your use, you can save money and lessen the impact. Here's how. Use your timer and thermostat to heat your home and hot water to the temperature you need. Use appliances efficiently and, where possible, outside the peak hours of 4 to 7 p.m. Consider walking, cycling or public transport for short journeys. Drive at lower speeds where safe to do so. Government advice and supports are available for homes and businesses to help you meet this challenge. Find out more at gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
This Friday, Around the Northwest is celebrating with a business marking 50 years in Letterkenny. We'll be live from Eamon Harkin Chiropodist, who first opened at Lower Main Street in May of 1972. We'll be chatting about the changes over the years and about Eamon putting his best foot forward so others can too. So join me, John Breslin, live this Friday from 12 on Around the Northwest at Eamon Harkin Chiropodist, Lower Main Street, Letterkenny.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. Now we're joined by a number of guests from the Letterkenny Chamber. Firstly, in studio, we'll say good morning to you, Fionnuala Rabbit, the MD, Highland Radio MD and Letterkenny Chamber Vice President.
That's it, very
You're
exciting.
Just picking up the titles this week.
In fairness,
this year.
it's all about the CV. That's what I tell the ladies. It's all about the CV.
Okay, and hopefully they can hear me okay. Claire McDonagh, La Maison Interior Design Studio and Chamber Vice President. Good morning, Claire. Can you hear me, Claire? I wonder, Christine, can you hear me okay?
I can't hear him.
Right, okay, that's no problem. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll reconnect with our guests there. We were able to hear them a little earlier on, but not right now. Okay, so we're speaking in the context, as we wait for our guests to rejoin us, we're speaking in the context, Fionnuala, of the fact that the Letterkenny Chamber has an all-female leadership. So tell us the makeup of that and what that actually means.
Well, the Letterkenny Chamber is a really dynamic group of business people from in and around the town of Letterkenny. And there's 17 members on the board. And at the moment, there's 7 of those members which are female. So it's a very exciting time for women in business in Donegal. And I suppose what the reason why we did this piece and why we want to highlight it is just to encourage other women to join the Chamber and become involved in things. The Chamber does some amazing stuff across the whole county, not just in Letterkenny. And I think it's just a valuable thing to let people know that we're there and what we do and that there's so many women involved and to hopefully get more women involved in the future.
Yeah, indeed. I hope we can speak to Christine. Can you hear me okay now, Christine? Okay, Claire, can you hear me? No,
very faintly, Greg. I can't hear things.
Right, that's okay. I'll come back to you in a second. Unfortunately, there seems to be a problem there, but I will get them back in. I will persist. And the situation too here is, Fionnuala, isn't it? It's not about, you don't want to rest on laurels here and go, yay, there's 7 in leadership role. It's about this being a springboard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at this stage now, it's amazing to think of it, really, but Christine Reynolds is our very exalted president, and it's hard to believe that she's only the 2nd female president that's been in the Letterkenny Chamber.
Yeah.
And it's purely because of the fact of the makeup of people who have joined the chamber. It's not that there's been anything wrong within the chamber itself, or that there's been any barriers to women or anything like that. It's just that women haven't joined in and haven't kind of, moved towards that position. There's an awful lot of women in business in Letterkenny, in the county of Donegal, and now we're finally seeing them getting more involved and more engaged in organisations which can help their business and other businesses, as well as the communities that their businesses are in.
Shall we go third time lucky?
Third time's the charm.
Okay, can you hear me, Christine?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can. I hope this is not just a big ruse by Fionnuala to put me in my place and that really you could hear me the whole time.
Well, do you know what, Greg? I'm glad Fionnuala turned up. Fionnuala has a little habit of being late for things, so
really?
It's good that she's able to carry the baton until we're able to get
I didn't have to leave work.
I'm glad it's not just in Highland Radio then.
I'm late for everything, but when I'm at work, I'm at work.
Christine, congratulations on your elevation to chamber president, and as Fionnuala was referencing there before you joined us, it's great that you're the second woman to be in this position, but I suppose we want to be in a position, and we talk about in this other issues in other areas as well, that it's not something that's notable. It should just be par for the course, isn't it? Whether it's a man or a woman, equal opportunity, equal amount of people to choose from, and so on.
Yeah, and I suppose whenever I took the role, I didn't want there to be this big fuss that, it's another woman. And with the leadership team now, and it turns out that we're all women, it's actually something that happened very organically, and it was something that I was a bit concerned about whenever we were choosing our leadership team. And I had run it by some of the board members, and I thought, God, guys, we can't all have all women on this team, But a few of the board members said, for years and years, we've had all men on the team. Nobody's bat an eyelid. It shouldn't be an issue, and behind the scenes, we're men and women. We're 17 people that work exceptionally well together. The ex-presidents, I think most of the men on our board, bar 3, have been in the president's role before. So it's probably likely that the next few presidents of the chamber will be female. But we're supported by the men and women of the board. So it's, I might be the front person this year, but there's much more to it than that.
Yeah, and it's clear it's not tokenism, because, the chamber is made up of, really powerful business people, regardless of their gender. But now is a good time maybe to say, right, we're in a position here to make a platform and use it.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And it comes back to the whole, if you can't see it, you can't be it. And, for young girls at school, for women that are starting out in business, that, there's a whole host of dynamic business people and business women on the chamber, and successful business people in Letterkenny and in Donegal. And I suppose the chamber board should be a reflection of business and society, and that's exactly what it is, men and women. And, we just want to keep the board diversified. What you don't want in any board is for it to become an echo chamber, that we're all of the same opinion, we work in the same sector. You can't have that. You need to push the thing forward. And to do that, you have to have different perspectives, different opinions, and a wider representation of people.
Yeah, of course. And of course you have this initiative, and it's great to be talking to you in this context. But I mean, I think every time someone takes over as Letterkenny Chamber, they're taking over a potentially challenging time, because the challenges are persistent in business, aren't they? And there's uncertainty about what lies ahead for this year. Maximising, I suppose, coming out of the situation we were in, but also ensuring that we have the best products out there, so people don't sit on their cash if they're a wee bit worried about the future, that they're out spending and supporting jobs and supporting the local economy.
Yeah, and that's it. And I suppose there's more money in the economy. People have apparently more savings, and that's what the statistics are showing us. In business and life, there's always going to be something, whether it's a pandemic, a recession, the cost of goods are going up, inflation, interest rate hikes. There's always something around the corner. And I think in business, you have to be very dynamic and very resilient, and you have to be ready for the next ball that's thrown at you. But I suppose with being part of the chamber will help our business people navigate the next big thing that's coming up, and we act as that kind of support group for people that are out there that want more information. And maybe want a bit of support or someone to hold their hand through it, and that's what we do for local businesses.
Yeah, I'll come back to that point, actually. I want to introduce Claire McDonough, though, L'Amazon Interior Design Studio Chamber Vice President as well. Hiya, Claire.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. Since you've been on the Chamber, you've actively been, I suppose, making the Chamber, as representative as possible, and not just in gender, of course. I mean, in terms of businesses, looking beyond Letterkenny as well, and continuing to move forward. I suppose what we're talking about today is just part of that, an important part, but part of it nonetheless.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the great things about the Chamber. It really is a representation and a voice for business in Donegal, but it very much mirrors the business story anyway. So as Christine was just saying, things are changing all the time. So many things are thrown at us that the Chamber itself needs to reflect that, and it certainly does. So, in any given year, there's lots of different challenges. And with the Chamber, I think, what we want to do is make sure that we're very much at the coalface and know exactly what's going on in businesses so we can be of practical support. So even during the lockdown and the pandemic, you'll see that we started that Support Donegal, local Donegal WhatsApp group. We must have about 170 businesses. Not all of them are members of the Chamber, but most are, or at least they become members of the Chamber because they see the value and support. So as Christine was saying, no matter what's thrown at you in business, and whether you're a sole trader or you run a company with 150 employees, there's a place for you within the Chamber membership. And, today's article is really just about reflecting female leadership and female entrepreneurs. But the story of Letterkenny Chamber is we're there at the coalface. We want to make sure that we're broadly representative of every sector of business, every size of business, and all throughout the county. So anybody in Donegal can be a member of Donegal or Letterkenny Chamber.
John, that's the new name, isn't it? That's what you've been chatting about, the Donegal Chamber. You let that one slip, Claire.
No. But I do feel we really, for us to have a very strong voice for business, we need to make sure that we are broadly representative.
Sorry, Claire, I thought you were finished there. Go, Fionnuala.
No, but I think I know we're all joking there about calling it the Donegal, but the thing is, what happens in Letterkenny is reflective of what happens in the rest of Donegal, anyways, with businesses and with changes and growth and also the difficulties that come along. And what the Chamber does is it represents. It ends up representing the whole of Donegal, even though it is Letterkenny, because what we're doing is we're a voice that has a connection to Chambers Ireland. We're the only chamber that's connected to Chambers Ireland. So then we have a position to put forward people's thoughts and people's feelings for Donegal and wants for Donegal nationally to either government, to, the likes of, we had a meeting there last week that involved Fáilte Ireland coming in and talking about the massive investment that they're bringing in. We have meetings in which we're speaking to ministers. We talk to government people. We do a lot of cross-border work as well now with the Londonderry Dairy Chamber and that. So it's just, even though it is the Letterkenny Chamber, it's either reflective of the county or else we end up representing things that the whole county needs and wants.
100%. And I think that a perfect example of that was, unfortunately, I can't reference the meeting with Micheál Martin because it wasn't able to go ahead, and I understand the reasons why. But say, for instance, I think it was Leo Varadkar as the Taoiseach when he was up. It's when you have a group of individuals like that representing businesses, as you've outlined, Fionnuala, from across the region, it can't be ignored. It's not like 3 or 4 businesses individually sending letters up. When the people who are the employers, the drivers of the local economy, you can't ignore it when they say, this is problem A, this is problem B, and you need to address it. They have to go back to Dublin and recognise that. Don't they, Claire?
100%, and that's our point, about the Chamber all along, that our number one role, we want to be really clear about, is our number one role is lobbying, being the voice of business. So we do that at local, regional, national and international level, whatever way we need to do to make sure that we highlight and represent the issues for businesses in the region. So, as far as the Chamber is concerned, there's a place for everyone, and we want to be really very much encouraging younger women, girls, to look at entrepreneurship and business as a career path. And insofar as even the photograph there, you have a sole trader right up to somebody who employs 130 people. So the point being, we can't, the Chamber can't be representing just large businesses. It can't be just small businesses. We have to have diversity and variety, and really, no matter what challenge faces you as a business, you definitely benefit from peer networking, and that lobbying voice as well. So it's all very important.
Fionnuala, it's boys and girls, but just for the purpose of this conversation, particularly women, because there are particular challenges. We have some amazing young women, but sometimes somewhere across the line, that ambition is not driven out of them, but it's frustrated, I think. And they don't necessarily sometimes go on to achieve their full potential, but they can look at the likes of yourself, the likes of Claire, the likes of Christine and others, and say, well, if they can do it, why can't I? And I think both you and Claire have referenced that if you can see, you can be it. And it's important. That is important, because they've so much to offer, and we have to make sure that we clear the path for them to be able to maximise their potential.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget the importance, and people joke about management teams or different things like that, going on networking and going to networking events, and sure, it's only just a meet-up for a drink, or it's a meet-up for whatever, but it can be very important, because I think when you go to something like the Chamber and you meet different people, particularly one for somebody like me coming into the county new, it was an amazing way in order to meet other businesses, in order to meet other business people in the area, to learn about what's happening in the area. But also then, if you've grown up in an area and you want to establish yourself as a business person, you meet people that come from all different kind of backgrounds. Some people that come through family businesses, some people that went back, started their own business, some people that went that worked in state businesses and then left and did their own, and have started their own thing later in life, rather than as fresh out of college. So you meet just such a wide, diverse group of people, and that can be very supportive then, because the majority of people have encountered the issues that you will encounter as you go along. So networking can be really important in it. But I think also it's one of the things that we're kind of losing is this sense of entrepreneurship. You hear it all the time, and I think it's really important that we try and bring it back into our schools, into our young people, that they think about setting up businesses, particularly in counties such as Donegal, that people think about, okay, I'm going to go to college and maybe I'll go away to somewhere else in Ireland or in the UK or Scotland or whatever, but at least that I'm going to come back and I'm going to set up my business here, and this is where I want to be. And I think being involved in the Chamber and seeing the wonderful work that the Chamber does makes people realise how dynamic this county actually is, how much growth, how much potential for future development there is here. And it can only make things better then for everybody, and provide jobs so that more and more people can come back and live here.
Yeah, for sure. Christine, I want to drive home that message of networking with you, if that's all right, because it's amazing what groups like Letterkenny Chamber does, Women Business and Network, these events that take place, and people who have an idea or have an itch they feel they can scratch, but they just don't know where to begin or what to do. A fear of failure, perhaps, or a fear of what people might think if it doesn't quite go as they want to do. Christine, when you're talking to other business people, when you're talking to your peers, you can build confidence. You can say, right, maybe I can go to the local Lee office and get some support there. There's a great willingness for businesses to help other businesses, or people looking to get into businesses, because they see the benefit of that for everyone.
There absolutely is, Greg, and I think that was kind of highlighted during the pandemic and during lockdown. It really highlighted local businesses wanting to help each other out, and we even had competitors giving each other information and helping each other out. And I think the whole thing about having a vibrant, ambitious town where people want to live, work, study, have their families, grow up, it can't work with just one section working on its own. The whole thing has to work together, and it goes back to that point of, the Donegal, Letterkenny. We've always said it, Letterkenny cannot work on its own without the rest of Donegal, and Donegal doesn't work without Letterkenny being the urban centre. And, the Chamber, me as a sole trader on my own, sitting in an office in the main street, if there's something that I need or something that I don't know how to do or how to approach it, I pick up the phone, I ring Tony in the Chamber office. Tony might not have the answer, but she's able to put me in contact with somebody that can help me. And that's the whole part of being part of the Chamber as well. It's that connections that you can make between different businesses.
Yeah, I talked a little bit earlier about the branding. I mean, is that, it is obvious to you and to someone like me who understands how it all works. Is there an argument for a rebranding to a county-wide, or is it working well the way it is, Fionnuala?
Well, I suppose that's really something that's going to happen down the road, that a conversation may be had at some point. But at the moment, I think we're just, as I said, we're focused on, we are the Letterkenny Chamber and that's what we're doing. But what we do is indicative of what's happening in the county anyway. So it flows over into, to the benefit of the whole county anyways. But, possibly it's a conversation that at some point, but Letterkenny, even in my time here in the 8 years, has grown so much. And, when you look and you talk to the council about some of their forecasts for population Letterkenny growth, and it growing into becoming, I know I keep calling it a town and everybody tells me it's going to be a city someday. So as the town and the county grows, who knows where the chamber will end up being, you know what I mean? But at the moment, this is what it is.
Yeah, no, and I'm not start trying to campaign for it. I was
You're going to get us into all sorts of trouble now, Greg.
Well, that wouldn't
Let's just say the chamber membership is open to every business in the county.
Okay. Of course, that's actually an interesting point, Claire. So in terms of that, right, and just as a particular focus of this, it's open to everybody. And we talked about younger people or entrepreneurs getting into business. Do you think, Claire, there's a cohort of women in business out there currently that you're speaking to say, come and get involved? You hear what we're at, you see where we're going, you can see the ethos. Get involved, get your voice, views heard, get yourself represented. Is that an open call out today, Claire?
Well, I think it is, because even before I became involved in the chamber, I would have always felt that the chamber, for no reason, nobody said it, but I would always have felt it was, businessmen where, the makeup of the chamber, and it was men in suits as such, and that's really not what the chamber is about. Certainly the men in suits are all very welcome and we work really, really well together, but I think the point being that if you walk down any street in Letterkenny or any street or village in Donegal, you'll find a lot of young women in business, young women starting out, maybe who need a bit of support or they're not sure where to turn. That's where organisations like the Chamber and the Leo office, etc., can be of huge benefit. But I do think a lot of women in business do seem to start off as sole traders, and that can be quite lonely, particularly when you're younger and you need that bit of support. And sometimes you need a sounding board, and you might just need somebody that you meet for a cup of coffee once a month to say, I'm thinking of doing this, what do you think? So it's not that the Chamber is particularly focus on one particular sector, as Christine said, but we just felt that the roll of the dice this year with the officer board, it just so happened organically that we're all female, and we felt it was an opportunity to put a call out there to say to women who are in business or thinking of going into business, if we're here, if we can help, the door's open. And that's really what our little article was about. It was really just showing that women in business in Donegal is actually very vibrant as well.
All right. What's your priorities? It's the old question, isn't it, Christine? What do you see your priorities, your main focus for your term?
So, look, I suppose it's not rocket science, and there's a continuation of what we have to get done as a chamber. So I can't come in and wreck the whole thing by having a whole list of different priorities, but it's all around building membership. Greg, the more members we have, the bigger voice that we can become in the Northwest. So that's the main priority. The rest of it is in and around the strategic relationship piece. So we work very well with the Donegal County Council. We work with the Northwest Partnership Group. We have a memorandum of understanding with the Derry Chamber. So there's a lot of that work that is around the strategy piece and doing work for the whole Northwest City region, and that has to be another one. Events is always one. We like to put on member events for current members. We like to do Meet the Chamber events for anybody that is thinking of becoming a member. We do our Into the Northwest events, which highlights different businesses in Letterkenny and Donegal. And they're kind of the main things, the governance piece to try and keep some continuity there and drive the chamber forward and so that we're sticking to our 3-year strategy, our 5-year strategy. But look, it really does come back down to the membership piece. And as Claire had said, we are open to new members all the time. And even if you're just thinking about it, you're not sure what it is, give us a call, get in touch with any one of us. We can meet you for a coffee. We can tell you a little bit more about it and you can see if it's something that you want to do.
Yeah.
So we urge anybody that's thinking about it just to get in touch with any of us.
All right, and finally, Fionnuala, it's exciting times. Obviously, there's a great deal of money that has been already allocated effectively for development of Letterkenny. We have LYIT now switching to university status. That's going to, they're going to be borrowing money and building more student accommodation. That's going to be more people in the town. You talked of population growth. That's generally accepted, and we're having to plan and build for that right now. And we've discussed that in this programme before. I mean, it's exciting times around Letterkenny and for Donegal more generally as well. I mean, obviously there are things that are going on at the moment, and they'll have to run their course. But the future is is bright.
As I was saying, I've been to meetings via the Chamber over the last couple of weeks even, and I've been staggered by the amount of investment potential that's here and investment that's planned over the next 3 to 5 years, which is part of the growth of the area between the council, as I said, with, in the tourism sector and that kind of thing. And these are all things that are going to bring headaches, but are also at the end going to bring more money into this region. It's going to bring more people into the region. And what the Chamber is going to be there, it's going to be help. It has a voice in talking to these organisations that are bringing this big investment as to what the region actually needs, not what necessarily somebody up in Dublin or somebody sitting on a government thing that has only come up twice a year to Donegal or whatever, but that we have a voice to be able to say, look, we're the people on the ground. This is what we need in order to get more people in there. Yeah. This is what our population here needs. This is what's important to this region. So we've a voice in that as well. We're also there to help if there's, even things like the four-lane car. That's the road. Road. That's the word I'm searching for. This has suddenly become the entertainment slot, and I've completely forgotten my words. Like things like the 4-lane road and that kind of thing, where we have a voice to talk about what times that should be done, so it doesn't impact the businesses in the area. So it's and we also do the St. Patrick's Day parade. Exactly. So it's amazing the different things.
It's a lot of background stuff, I think.
Yeah, I think
it's like in a lot of things. It's the stuff that's being done in the background at the meetings that you're not putting a press release out for everything. The stuff that's
why I would recommend to people, and men and women, anybody out there, young and old, if they have a business, come and talk to us. Come on one of our coffee mornings. Come on one of our events, and just really get to see exactly what it is that the Chamber does. Because if you do see that, I think you're definitely going to want to become even more involved.
Brilliant, Claire. Thanks so much for joining us. It's great to see you again.
Thanks, Greg. Great to chat.
I appreciate it. Okay, thank you. Congratulations again, Christine, on your appointment and continued success in business. And I'm sure we'll talk to you over the course of the year.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having us on.
It's our pleasure. And last but not least, Fionnuala, thank you very much for joining us. A lot of stick you received unfairly about the item being after 10 instead of before 10, but other things came up and you accommodated us and you were on time.
I know. Okay, well, I was on time, which is a shocker for even me, because I'm not known for my punctuality, I will admit.
Okay, listen, thanks so much indeed.
No bother.
Right, okay, it is the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. We've still another hour and 20 minutes keeping you entertained and informed. Stay right where you are, because we're going to take a very short break, and then we will be back with, we might take a piece of music, or we might have to go on to our next item, but we'll see after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Fly with Loganair from City of Derry to Edinburgh and immerse yourself in the live shows and street food of the Fringe Festival this summer, with discounts for children aged 11 and under.
Fly with me, I want to take you there. Precious moments of this journey to where homeward bound again.
Book now at loganair.co.uk. 15 kilo luggage allowance as standard.
New this week in Home Store and More. All pillows are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price pillows are gone, they're gone. Also, all laundry hampers and baskets and all Hotel Collection duvet sets are still half price. But when all our half price laundry hampers and baskets and all our half price Hotel Collection duvet sets are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
I can't stop thinking about them. I keep rereading their old texts.
Brian, this has gotta stop. It's been months, and they send those alerts to everyone. You know that, right? Look, your bank is leaving, but you gotta get back out there. Listen to me, any bank would be lucky to have you, especially Bank of Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, they've even put together a simple step-by-step guide to moving banks and have a dedicated team on hand to help. Even an ending could be a new beginning. To start finding your new banking partner, download our step-by-step guide to moving banks. Search Bank of Ireland Big Move. Begin.
Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Come along to Beaver Log Cabins Big Weekend, Saturday 21st and Sunday 22nd of May. Beaver Log Cabins are Ireland's biggest bespoke log cabin company, with quality cabins, home offices, hot tubs, gazebos and more. Located in Bonamy and Bridgend, this family-friendly weekend features a range of offers, discounts, prizes and promotions. See beaverlogcabins.ie.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire, exclusive stockists of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade-in service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 9126276.
Century Complex is the perfect family day out. Treat yourself to a tasty meal at Backstage Bar and Grill, an exciting movie at Century Cinemas, and explore Century Play. Get in touch with our team today on 074 912 1976 or check out our website centurycinemas.ie for more information on Century Complex.
The O'Neill Sportswear Massive Warehouse Clearance Sale is back by popular demand. For one weekend only, County GA jerseys, leisure wear, including t-shirts, tracksuit bottoms, half-zips, hoodies and jackets, are all reduced to clear. Open from 9 a.m. Friday, May 20th and Sunday, May 22nd. The sale will take place at O'Neill Sportswear Warehouse off the Melmount Road roundabout, Strabane.
Buy now and then split your payment over 3 months, interest-free, with Klarna at Tinny's Toys, Letterkenny. Now that the evenings are longer, there's loads of great ideas for outdoor fun at Tinny's, like pedal and battery ride-on tractors, cars and jeeps. Also a great range of outdoor toys like swings and slides now in stock. Shopping made easy with Klarna at Tinny's Toys, Leck Road, Letterkenny, and at tinnystoys.com for express delivery or click and collect.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to beautiful Mallorca every Friday this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best beaches. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
And you can fly from Ireland West Airport. It is an amazing airport. It's so easy to use, but you can only use it with a passport. We're going to be talking about that in a second. Just the weather for today, dry and sunny for the rest of this morning. The way in the afternoon, rain with the possibility of thunderstorms will develop in the west mostly. Southerly winds will increase, fresh then, strong, gusty, temperatures 15 to 17 degrees. Right, caller says I sent my passport away on the 27th of January. The 27th of January, let's not forget it's May. I'm due to fly out to America on Tuesday. I've had no communication. They contacted me in April for some more info, which I provided, but nothing else since. I've been in touch with TDs. I've tried to get an appointment in the office in Dublin. My heart is broken. Does anyone have any kind of advice? The only thing I would suggest you do is go to the web chat part of the passport. Now, you'll say it's grey. It's always grey, right? Keep refreshing the page, keep refreshing the page, keep refreshing the page. Have your passport number and everything ready to go. After a number of refreshes, it will eventually turn green. And if you can get your info in and submit it, that's how I managed to get in contact with them a couple of times. But it was literally, my thumb was nearly hanging off. I think I had to refresh for about 15 minutes, but eventually it went green and I was able to get in the queue. And then I got to speaking to someone on web chat, which at least then I knew what the lay of the land was. But that's not going to work for everyone and it doesn't suit every problem. But it's just a wee bit of advice that worked for me. George, though, good morning to you, George.
Morning, Greg.
How are you? Right, you're in that awful situation. I think 3.5 months is a reasonable lead-in. I presume you would have thought you'd have had it long before you were due to go on holiday, which is next week. This is a disaster for you and your family, George.
It is, yeah. So we applied shortly after the 6th of February. Our son was born in December, so we were fairly prompt afterwards. Sent all the required documentation, and the passport tracker gave us the expected issue date of the 25th of April. It says on the website that for first-time applications, it can take up to 30 working days. which is 6 weeks, and we've now been waiting over 14 weeks. And you mentioned there about the web chat. We've had no success with that whatsoever. My wife and I have been trying to contact the passport office hundreds of times a day this past fortnight, and it's not even connecting. And the one time that I did get through about 3 weeks back, I did notify them of our upcoming travel date, and they made a note of that, but obviously it hasn't had much of an impact.
Like, do you know for certain, and this is the problem, and it's a problem I had myself, George, so I can speak from a little bit of experience. Are you sure they have all the correct information? Do they need anything else? Like, the problem is there's a lack of communication. Is this purely just the process dragging on and a staffing issue? Or could they contact you tomorrow and say, oh, by the way, such and such and such? If you have no communications and no way of getting in contact, you're left completely in the dark.
Yeah, absolutely. No communication. And we contacted our witness last night who signed the forms. They haven't been contacted, so it hasn't even gone through those checks yet. And we had sent the form through with a renewal for our older son. That came through in about 3 weeks. So on the renewal side, I think it is actually a lot quicker. But for first-time applications, it's just it's beyond the joke at this point.
So what does it mean? You're due to go on holiday next week. It probably feels like you need a miracle for this to happen. But and let's hope it does, George. But what does it mean in terms of the holidays? The money down the drain, or?
Yeah, well, we've raised it with a couple of TDs in Donegal, but honestly, I'm not sure what they can do. I think you only need to go on Twitter and you can see that there's hundreds of families in a very similar predicament.
By the way, did any of those TDs ask for evidence of your travel date?
One of them did, yeah.
Right, okay. Well, I'd say that's the one that's actually trying it for you, to be honest with you. I don't need names, but if they didn't get your travel date, then they're probably not doing anything.
Yeah, I think just to highlight, though, what's particularly frustrating about this situation is, it's obviously getting a bit of coverage at the moment. And Siobhan Byrne, who's the director of the Passport Office, she spoke with News Talk earlier this week and said that the turnaround times for first-time passports have been brought down from 8 weeks to 6. And I mean, this simply is just not the case. As I said, go on Twitter, type in Irish passport, and you'll see the level of frustration that's out there. Families like ours who've just saved hard and just now at the risk of losing it all.
Yeah. The holiday's gone, of course. Annual leave probably booked off. I mean, some people are self-employed and all, but a lot of things have to be moved around, particularly the way things are at the moment, to facilitate this. The first is your new full family, and congratulations on that, George. Like, it should just be, you should only be worrying about what you're going to drink in the airport departure lounge, a Coke or whatever it might be. You should not have to be, at this point, not knowing whether or not you're going to go or not. It's just the lack of info, George. That's the thing that gets me.
Yeah, and I think, in our situation as well, we're travelling with my wife's parents who are both elderly and need assistance, so it's creating not only stress for ourselves but stress for them as well.
Yeah.
And we've all been locked in our houses for 2 years now. I think most of us are due a holiday, so it's just frustrating that there's another barricade up this year.
All right, listen, I just hope the TD comes through for you.
Thanks very much, Greg.
They have contact with the office. Did they have they related back to you to say, I was on to my contact in the office and this is the situation? Have you had any feedback in the other direction?
Nothing back.
You see, I really, I kind of know a little bit of the procedure there, and they need to be, if they're not communicating back to you to say that I've been told this or told that, I just don't want you sitting there thinking they are doing something when perhaps they're not either, because that would just be a worst waste of time.
Yeah.
All right, listen, I hope you're jetting off. I hope you are. It sounds like it's going to be a lovely multi-generational family holiday, and it's so important that you get away. I hope you do, George.
Thanks very much.
All right,
Greg.
take care. Thanks very much indeed, I beg your pardon. Lucille, thank you so much for your patience, but you'd need patience with this process. But I mean, in terms of this call, what's your situation?
I applied for 3 new Irish passports in late January. My British ones, we're living in Northern Ireland, in Antrim actually. So my British passports were coming up and expire. Mine expires in July of this year. My youngest son's, his is still valid. My oldest son's has expired last year, so I thought I'll get 3 new Irish passports. And when I booked the holiday, and they are currently processing holidays booked for the 4th of June, so I'm flying out on Saturday for an all-inclusive holiday. It's quite upsetting.
Yeah, this is everything you're building up to.
I've been saving for 2 years, yeah. With the credit union to go on this holiday. I've been working all through COVID, the pandemic. I think when people say, you can't get your passport, well, sure, it's only a holiday, but it's not a holiday.
Much more than that.
it's something we've worked for. We've had a hard time, the family, and so every day I'm refreshing. I'm spending my days refreshing. I have an office job during the day. I do have an evening shift in the hospital, and to pay for the holiday and to pay for and to pay for everything. And now I'm thinking, excuse me. We're not going to get in this holiday. I've been reading Twitter. I've been on to the passport office. Look, I know those girls are working really hard and they're very helpful. I've sat on refresh. I've redialed. I've got through twice in 2 weeks, and they've been very helpful. And they've said they've flagged it up. But I realise the pressure they're under. It's not that their fault. They're not getting this done. I don't feel. I think they're all working really hard. But for me now, coming up to the last day now, 2 weeks on Saturday, I don't think I'm going to get on holiday. So I'm thinking, do I pack my bags? Do I not pack my bags? Do I buy things? I'm sort of just spending my days on refresh, and I haven't really been thinking about anything else. Because
you're completely in
quite
limbo.
upsetting.
You're in purgatory. You don't know. Do you gear up for it? Or do you make the disappointment even worse? It's a horrible, impossible situation, and it's important to you. As you say, you've worked throughout the pandemic. You know your family have been through it a bit. You've built up this. You deserve this. You've got the money together. You've got the plans together, and the only thing holding you back is this huge delay. Someone's going to text in probably, and we love all texts, of course, but say, well, could you sort out a British passport at this short notice?
Yeah.
You're looking at that too.
While I'm on the phone to you here now, this is another issue. I had went and got the PhotoMe digital passport photograph, so you can get an Irish passport photograph digitally or a British one. So I had got the three of us our Irish digital passport. So I managed to get through today. I've been refreshing for a fast track and a premium. These are costing up to £400 for me to pay just before going holiday. But I'm sort of scrimping into our holiday money to pay for these to try and get this done. I didn't think I would have to do it at this stage. I finally got through there today, just before I got through on the phone to you there, and my digital passport code for the Irish passport doesn't work. So now I have to try and get 3 digital passport pictures for our... it's just everywhere you go, you're met with a problem, and then it locks you out of the website, and you have to start the whole process again. So I'm doing this now for 2 weeks. And then the British Passport Office, the Belfast office, seem to have the same problem. I'm being offered appointments in Glasgow and Durham. It's constant. I mean, I'm trying to work. I've got a job as leave, but my whole days now for the last 2 weeks have been spent in refreshing. I'm not doing anything else.
And let's not forget now,
this is what I have to do.
You're coming up on 4 months since you applied, so you know that's a decent lead in. That's well beyond, as far as I can tell, that is well beyond what they say the lead time is. Again, Lucille, it's the same situation with George. If you were given some definitive information, you could probably start to work with that. You could end up possibly with a British passport in one hand and an Irish passport in the other next Monday. And that would be fine. You'd get on holiday, but you'd be down €400. And, you know, God knows about all the stress and anxiety it's clear that you've been going through. Some information, that can't be beyond them.
The information I'm getting when I got through twice was, look, they'd flagged my holiday up for me, and then they would get to it that it was going to witnesses, to keep a close eye on your passport tracking, because it might change. They might need something else. So it's constantly having to log, and you can't even refresh. You have to type all the numbers in.
What is the progress bar saying on the Republic's portal?
So on the 22nd of April, my passports were due. It said they should arrive, but the wee bar went back up again, and now it says processing. So the girl
Does it
said,
give an
estimated
dispatch date?
No, I have nothing except processing. It was supposed to. It said at the end it should be with you on the 22nd of April, which is why I hadn't panicked. I thought, I'm getting my